All right, so a lot of discussion has arisen within the last couple of years about the popularity of Nike and Adidas. Um, Often within the last couple of years, you've heard people pose the question: is Adidas more popular than Nike? What do people prefer nowadays? So, I want to delve a little bit into what I believe are the factors as to why this is even a discussion and if there's any validity behind it. So, I want to start with, giving a background of the two main forces within this athletic apparel battle. So, of course, it's Nike on one hand, Adidas on the other. So, I want to jump into how Nike has 37% of the market share for athletic apparel within North America, then followed by Adidas at 11.3% and Jordan at 9.5. And as we all know, Jordan is a subsidiary of Nike, which means that in essence, Jordan is a part of Nike. So you could argue that 9.5% of the market share is going to Nike, but they separate in two different entities. And then the worldwide brand value of Nike is at 29.6 billion, while Adidas is at 7.9 billion. 7.9 billion. These two companies are the only two athletic companies in the top 100 value of the world. So that speaks for itself in the sense of these are the two forces within this athletic apparel war that's going on. But first, I want to get into, you know, how this even came about because within the 70s, Nike kind of came to prominence by their running shoe, the Cortez, of course, and then they then suffered um, within the market. Then, of course, they got Michael Jordan to kind of bring Nike to prominence through his line of signature shoes. And so through that, they then shortly followed that act up with their Air Max series in the late 80s, early 90s. And now that's gone on for decades. So Nike has become a powerhouse within this industry. Michael Jordan you could argue he's the catalyst for why Nike has the reins on this industry for right now. But Adidas lately, within the last in 2018 now, so for the last 3 years or so, have been doing everything within their power to at least knock Jordan off of that number two spot, which they succeeded in. So recently, Adidas surpassed Jordan as the number two brand within North America for the market share. So as I said before, Jordan's sitting at 9.5 while Adidas is 11.3. And so that wasn't always the case. That's kind of just came about within the last year or two or so. And so there are a couple of things that I kind of want to bring to attention why there's an argument of what is better between Nike and Adidas. And I want to start with this athleisure movement. So if you all haven't heard the term, athleisure is a term used for how Merriam-Webster Dictionary would describe it as casual clothing meant to be worn both for exercising and general use. We can all account this for the millennials and how they take a casual approach to addressing themselves. Also, you could point to celebrities being seen out in spandex or, or the sweatsuits and things of that nature. Those have become very popular. And what I want to say is I want to point out a couple of things from athleisure so you all can kind of just have an idea of what it is when I reference it. So when you say athleisure, thinking of Nike, we want to think of the Nike Tech fleece suits. So, those things are really popular. You'll see a lot of people wearing those out casually, whether it be to dinner, going out to the mall, anything of that nature. And of course, when we think of athleisure, when we think of Adidas, we think of the track pants. Those are iconic. We see a lot of people mesh those track pants with different brands, but a staple in fashion for right now, those Adidas track pants for sure. And then also with I have to give him credit for it with Kanye West. He was with Nike originally. The sneaker he had with Nike was a little bit more clunky. It was more in line with how big basketball shoes are within the Nike brand, and also he was just creating the shoe when people were more prone to wear basketball shoes casually, as a fashion statement. Where now we've entered into an era, if you haven't noticed, where it's more popular to wear runners casually more so than the basketball sneakers. So that's part of the reason why Jordan was number two in the market share for athletic apparel and sneakers, because of the fact that a lot of people were wearing basketball shoes casually. Of course, there's the demographic who goes for shoes strictly for performance, whether that be for running shoes or basketball. But for a large point in time, usually when people were wearing sneakers casually, it was usually basketball shoes. But we've made a transition to where runners are the more preferred shoe to wear casually. And then now basketball shoes have solely become a thing for just performance, only for those people that are actually going to wear them from grade school on to college or into the pros and wearing them strictly to play basketball or even recreationally. So that's usually what basketball shoes are used for. Uh, you got to hit a home run these days in terms of the design to create a shoe that's popular for people that have to wear them performance wise and then on the street as well. I think Nike is still cornering the market on that. Adidas doesn't really have signature shoes that you can identify, signature basketball shoes that you could identify as something that you want to wear casually. They're tried with, I feel, James Harden. I haven't quite seen that take on yet. People would still prefer to get an Adidas NMD or Ultra Boost if they're going to pick a casual shoe to wear outside rather than the James Harden signature sneaker. But what I want to go to is how Adidas' influence has kind of caused the resurgence of the brand in a sense, because of the fact that you have these cultural ambassadors that they're using as a driving force to kind of influence the market on what's cool. And we've seen Apple do this before. If you want to go back to the early 2000s, where they used to run this commercial where they have two men. They have one man who's in a suit and tie, not like myself. He looks, really corny. It's not altered. It's disgusting looking. And he has on glasses. He looks like Bill Gates, basically. What you would think of. I mean, Bill Gates may wear nicer suits, but this is what you thought of. Glasses, junky looking suit, fumbled, geeky nerd type of look. He represented Microsoft. And if you remember, they had the other guy, more cool, laid back, nonchalant. He's wearing jeans, probably had his shirt untucked, He represented Apple. And how they used to play them off of each other is, Microsoft, they have to go through all these approvals to get everything done. Like he needs to compute and all this stuff, where Apple is a more customizable experience, catered more to the individual consumer and things of that nature. So that's kind of what Adidas has done, in the sense of take people who have such cultural influence, such as Kanye, Pharrell. They have Kendall Jenner, I think, representing them as well. None of these people have anything to do with sports. Well, in the past, both brands, Nike, Adidas, and even Jordan, have relied upon the athletes to be used as the marketers for the product. Well, now I don't know if it stems from Jay-Z, having those S. Dot Carters with Reebok, and then 50 Cent doing the G units with Reebok, or you could even just say it's from Kanye for putting his work creating a signature sneaker with Louis Vuitton, and then creating the two Yeezys that he had with Nike, and them causing such great demand, but them not giving him, some autonomy in return, to which caused him to yell out of his contract and go over to Adidas, where it seems like he's essentially made a killing off a Nike Roche Run shoe without a swoosh on it. His first Yeezy sneaker was essentially a Roche Run, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. You know, there was no corny swoosh mark all over the shoe, or but essentially it's the same thing: a mesh upper with a tubular bottom. That was the Yeezy ones. Was basically what the Yeezy 2 was. A little bit more effort aesthetically in terms of the variations in colors and materials that you could get, but essentially that's what you get from the Yeezys. And then of course you got the high tops that they had, the 700 boost, and then now they got the new ones that look like a mesh between like Academy Asics and some Balenciaga tennis shoes. That's what they kind of look like, a mesh between. They're really silly looking. Like if they weren't Yeezys, you'd be getting making fun of back in the day for wearing those. But I mean, his influence culturally has caused these shoes to become so popular that they went ahead and gone along with that by now having Pharrell, who's a musician, have influence on what they create sneaker wise. And he has a little back history with BBC and all that stuff, so creating. But that's kind of been their thing, really, creators. And if you've seen some of the commercials, where they have a new commercial where they're sitting at a long table where they have DeAndre Hopkins, they have Carlos Correa, they have Pusha T, they have James Harden, they have Pharrell in there. They have all these different people who not only are athletes but are culturally influential, sitting at a round table, discuss, creating. They had Von Miller in there, just throw another football guy in there. I think they even had D Rose, R.I.P. D Rose. But they had a lot of people in there who not only were athletic, but had creative vision and influence on what Adidas is putting out. And that's kind of been their driving force in how they've overcome Jordan Brand as the number 2 in hold of market share within the U.S. and North America. And so I don't know whether or not if Adidas or Nike is more popular. Obviously, the numbers say Nike is still the driving force. They have the highest value. They have the most within the market share. All of those things. But in terms of what's cool, I don't know if that's Nike anymore. I've been a lifelong pledgee to the Nike brand. I used to wear. See, this is where they kind of missed the bar. I used to wear Air Forces a lot. Like, you all remember Nelly had that song Air Force One. They didn't want to have anything to do with Nelly though. So that was back in the time where they used to just get free publicity, where entertainers love wearing their products so much the brand wouldn't have to necessarily endorse them, but they get so much free publicity from people just being brainwashed to their products anyway. And so I hope Nike cut Nelly a check, because I was wearing Air Force Ones before Nelly, but he definitely made people that weren't wearing them wear them even more. So, I feel like Nike and Jordan really haven't captured or honed in on that cultural influence that one person, an entertainer, can have, therefore making a brand cool and not necessarily just what you're used to in terms of excellence. Nike still represents excellence, because when you think of a great basketball shoe, I'm sorry, Steph Curry, you don't think of your Under Armour shoe. You think of LeBron's shoe, Kevin Durant's shoe, Kyrie's shoe. Kyrie arguably has the best sneaker shoe out there in terms of performance and being aesthetically pleasing. So that's what you think of in terms of performance-wise. You still think of Nike performance-wise. Like, that's definitely, you think of excellence. You hold it in that light, in that regard. But in terms of being cool and fashionable, I don't know. I mean, think about it. In 2016, what was it? The Superstar, an old shoe that Adidas made in the 70s, was the top selling sneaker in the US. So this shoe has been around for forever, but what has made it so popular to where it's the best selling shoe in America? And it's because of the fact that they have cultural influence. You all see it now. So many people wear Stan Smiths. Stan Smiths have been around since like the 70s. And within the last couple of years, I mean, you see so many people wearing Stan Smiths now, and it's because of that cultural influence. Adidas is really honing in on the millennials and teenagers, and capitalizing on this athleisure movement to where people wear athletic clothes casually as a fashion statement. And Nike is kind of missing the ball on it, honestly. In terms of innovation, Adidas has contributed to the sneaker lore way more than Nike has within the last couple of years. I mean, Adidas easily has the more sought after shoes right now with the Yeezys, and then with the Ultra Boost. You could even say the NMDs. All of these things have become highly sought after products within sneakerhead culture. Whereas for Nike and the Jordan brand, what do you have? I mean, they've relied heavily upon the performance, I feel, of just basketball shoes for a long time, and then recycling all of the great material they have, like their Air Max 90 series, 95, 97. What's another good year? The Air Max 10 Plus, where you see the different colors. And another thing they do is the fusion thing. So when they can't think of anything fresh and original, they make a fusion out of new technology with an old design. So they've been getting by so many years on that formula. I feel like that's why you see their market share dropping, even though not a lot. They're still the heavily favored in terms of market share. But you have to admit that Adidas is driving a nice little wedge within their piece of pie in terms of the market share. So, in closing, I started with which shoe or which brand is more popular. And it's arguable to say that Nike has the better performance product right now. They represent the NFL and the NBA right now in terms of, uh, the jerseys and everything. So that's what you're seeing every day when you're watching an NFL game or NBA game. They're wearing a Nike product. Everything, whether it be the uniform or the headband, it has to be Nike. But what I can say in terms of what's cool, Adidas may be cooler than Nike right now at this very moment, because of the fact that it doesn't matter if your favorite players or majority of everyone's favorite players within basketball is LeBron or KD or Kyrie or anything like that. Nobody's buying their shoes to wear them to the club or just wear them casually out in public. I got to admit, the new Nike LeBron 15s are pretty dope, but it's a stretch to make those work like casually. But Adidas, man, they're making it super easy for you. You got a lot to choose from in terms of innovation and how you can pull it off casually. I see the Stan Smiths a lot. I see the Superstars a lot. Of course, those are classic sneakers. But in terms of new products, I'm seeing the Ultra Boost. I'm seeing the NMDs. I'm seeing the Yeezys, of course. They had a small little moment where they had like the ZX Flux Adidas, if you all remember those. A lot of people started to wear those initially, and then they kind of phased out. I don't see anybody wearing those anymore. But another thing is, like, with all of this new inventory and cool products that Adidas are putting out, it strikes another question. will it last? So we know Nike has made some legendary products. And, I named the superstars and the Stan Smiths. Those are without doubt Adidas staple products. That's what you think of when you think of Adidas, in terms of the overall picture. But for Nike, you got so much. You got the Air Max series with all those different shoes they have within there. You have the Prestos, which they re-release now and people wear again. You have the Hirachis, which they re-release and now people wear again. But these shoes came out early 2000s, 90s. Like, of course, you have the Jordan brand, which has grown a little stale in terms of their re-releases of signature shoes. They've now seen where their product hangs on the shelf more than ever. And this is because of a couple of things. I mean, just quite honestly, if you go ask a teenager what they rather have, some Yeezys, some Jordans, they're going to say some Yeezys because Michael Jordan is just losing relevance in terms of what he represents, because he's a little out of touch to someone who may have been born in the year 2000 or 2003, because he may have been playing for the Wizards at the time, but they were infants. So by the time that they can comprehend things in 2007, 2008, Jordan is someone who's retired, who they've never really seen play basketball before. And why do they want this shoe again? Other than just everyone else who's lived on the earth before them liking Jordans, like, it has no real relevance to them anymore. It's just culturally relevant. So they're still getting free promotion off, artists rapping about Jordans and stuff like that. But outside of that, where's the demand coming from? You're not, Jordan hasn't created a nice, innovative sneaker probably since the Jordan Future, and it was essentially a fusion of the technology within Nike of like the Rush Run mesh upper material, and then having the design of a Jordan 11 sneaker, and then also the sole as well. So it was more so like a fusion sneaker, but that was the last innovative product they made for Nike. I would say their latest innovative product that has had probably moderate success is maybe their Vapor Max. I feel like, when I saw that, just browsing online and even within mall, I thought, hey, it's a pretty good sneaker. But I feel like what's killing Nike is like they got this Vapor Max, which is a cool, innovative sneaker that's new, that you could see yourself like rocking casually. It's like $180. It's like, what are they doing? Like, the smart thing that they're in these, and they're making, they're letting Pharrell have creative control and come up with his own kind of sneaker, and then they're doing the Ultra Boost. Man, these shoes are always like $150 and below. I mean, if it's a special kind, it may be more, but usually you can get them at a decent price. So I don't know how Nike is going to overcome this cool thing that they're missing out on, but they're definitely missing out on it. Now, in terms of excellence, they still represent that, but cool, not so much. So, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I'm tuned in. For right now, I can say I do have more Adidas within my rotation than I have Nikes. That was never the case for the past 20 years, but now it just is what it is, man. Like, I ran out of Nikes to buy. I can't buy any more Air Max 90s, 95s, 97s. Like, I bought all that I can buy in all the different colors. The same thing with the Jordans. Like, I bought all my favorite numbers. Like, I get rid of the shoes now because, it's just not cool. Like, it don't matter if I have like these cool exclusive Jordans that came out 5 to 10 years ago, or even if I get the brand new ones. Like, what's gonna be more fashionable? A bulky sneaker that was designed 20 years ago, or a sneaker that's slim and was designed within the last 5 years and fits more seamlessly with fashion. Like we all know, everybody wears skinny jeans, joggers, slim cut clothes. Like that's been what's in for the last 5 to 10 years or so. Jordans and basketball shoes just don't fit that mold, and that's what Nike and Jordan has had the most success with. So they have to get back to the drawing board. I think that they need to start embracing the fact that entertainers and people with cultural influence do hold a lot of weight. They definitely underestimated Kanye West uh, because they did take a chance on him first, but they didn't value him. They let him go, and now I feel like they're paying the price for it. Um, they're still in number one, but you know, it hurts a brand to not be as cool. They need to get some of that back if they really want to push Adidas and hold them at that number two spot and make sure that they have no chance of ever surpassing Nike. But if you all have any opinions, let me know. Love to hear them. I wore this suit today because I had an interview, so don't judge me. I don't dress like this for fun.